Important breaking news from the world.
The news is saturated these days with allegations of sexual misconduct against actors, producers, politicians and media personalities rocking Hollywood, the mainstream media, and Washington. One would be inclined to think that this is a new phenomenon, however, even a rudimentary internet search reveals that it is not by a long shot, regardless of the attempts by the left to paint this as some sort of sick right-leaning ideological phenomenon. Need proof? Let's go way back in the Wayback Machine for a little trip back to 1989. Back in 1989, the Washington Times broke the bombshell story of Barney Frank, M.A.D., allowing his boyfriend Stephen Gobie to run a bisexual prostitution ring out of his apartment. Gobie himself was a male prostitute whom Frank at one time hired with his taxpayer-funded salary. Frank was considered the first openly gay member of Congress and was in the House of Representatives for almost 30 years. In spite of his predilection for male prostitutes, illegal in Massachusetts at the time, Frank was reelected repeatedly until 2013. Frank repeatedly abused his authority using his House privilege and waiving some 33 different parking tickets for Gobie and for writing a memo in an effort to end Gobie's probation for prior infractions before Gobie served his time. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary and a Herculean effort on the part of former Idaho Congressman Larry Craig to have Frank removed for his actions, Frank claimed ignorance of Gobie's actions in his own home and remained in Congress. Apparently, the abundance of young men in Frank's apartment, including some that were rumored to be underage, raised no suspicion whatsoever that something might be abnormal. And Congress, the people of Massachusetts, and the media bought his story of denial. Frank received nothing more than an official reprimand. The double standard is alive and well with men such as Roy Moore, convicted on little more than a hit piece, forged yearbook entries, and the testimony of Gloria Allred's professional victim contingent. Yet the liberal mainstream media's strategic silence on misconduct by members of the Democrat Party was as active in 1990 as it is today. Barney Frank's DIY gay prostitution ring remained widely unreported when it was discovered by fellow congressmen. Gobie maintained Frank knew of the prostitution ring and actively engaged in setting it up. According to Gobie, Frank was heavily involved and actively engaged in human trafficking. Yet, Frank was apparently the originator of the Kevin Spacey defense regarding the public. Interestingly enough, in 2015 Frank wrote a lengthy editorial piece in the leftist progressive Politico entitled "My Life as a Gay Congressman." In the editorial piece, Frank admits to his own involvement in running the brothel from his apartment. Meaning Frank not only engaged in the trafficking of other human beings for sex, he also committed perjury as an active member of Congress. Yet he was as protected by the political establishment and the mainstream media as Al Franken, Bill Clinton, John Conyers, Hillary Clinton, John Podesta and a host of others. It seems one must embrace leftist progressive ideology and one will be given a free pass for even the most heinous of acts. Now in true leftist fashion, in what appears to be some sort of deviant tradition in Massachusetts, two men in Pittsfield have been charged with running a citywide prostitution ring out of a senior living facility, according to the Berkshire Eagle. The two men are known as 65-year-old Joseph Van Wert and 45-year-old Randy Lambach. Local police began investigating in the spring of 2017 after receiving numerous complaints about suspected prostitution out of a senior living facility on North Street. Police uncovered that Lambach recruited at least 11 women with drug addictions. He would take their picture and then post advertisements online aimed at clients seeking sexual services. Using the money the woman earned providing sexual services, Lambach would then use to buy drugs. He then provided drugs to the woman in exchange for their sexual services in Van Wert's apartment. Van Wert paid for sex with the women, and he was also paid in cash and drugs by Lambach to use the former's apartment. The men are charged with conspiracy to commit human trafficking, 4 counts of human trafficking, deriving support from prostitution, maintaining a house of prostitution, and sexual conduct for a fee.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel.